Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and today I'm so excited to be talking about the wonderful short documentary film Anais. And I am joined today by the director Hélène Hadjiyianni and producer Shanice Mendy. And starting off, Hélène, I know that this story originally came to you because you had someone who knew Anais come and talk to you about her and her story, and just wanted to ask about learning more about her. And what was the moment where you realized that this was something that would make such a wonderful subject for a short film?
Yeah, well, as a human being, let's say, and as a director also, thinking about what I want to direct and what movie I want to do, I'm very concerned about our relationship with the world and our humanity. And when I learned more about Anaïs, I thought that she was a human being that really is in touch with what it is to embrace life simply on so many levels, and that we got the chance to speak about women, about our bodies, about overcoming challenges, about what it is and what it takes really to embrace life, and our relationship with others, also the family, our bonds with each other, our roots, and how by staying connected with all of that we can do extraordinary things, whether it's being an exceptional athlete or overcoming a illness and overcoming a moment in your life where you were supposed to die. And so discovering her, I thought this is maybe a necessity to do a short documentary about her and tell her life.
I love that so much. And Shanice, I wanted to just ask about, as a producer, really figuring out how to put together this story, because you're telling the story and you met her after she had already gone through this cancer diagnosis and recovery, and but you're still capturing so much in motion in terms of what she's doing in the aftermath of all of that.
Yeah.
And so how did you set about looking at the archival elements and working with her to have photographs and just finding those details from her past, and then as well just setting up all the shoots that you felt would be important to tell her story in the present
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, I would say that the chance that we had was that Anais was at ease with us very, very quickly. We created, the three of us, really a bond together.
Mm.
And she opened up everything for us. All her family, like close family, but also close friends, La Meute, the running team. This was really easy.
Yeah.
And I felt that she was not really aware fully of what she's been through.
Mm.
And when Hélène asked her for the archives and the photos of her illness and the scans, all this medical stuff and all that, she said, "Oh, I don't know if I have them still. I think like I wanted to throw that up." And we were like, "Oh wow, wait, let's gather together and see what you still have and what we could see." And that was amazing to do that with her, but that was also on us to find what would be interesting to tell, because you have so much to tell in a illness, unfortunately. So that was to tell a story that has a past is not easy, but with her everything was extremely smooth.
Smooth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was also so immediately drawn in by her charisma and her energy and her personality. And I imagine that that was one of the things that made you both want to tell this story immediately, because it's not just about her story, it's about who she is at her core. And so, in telling her story, how did you make sure that you were capturing that essence and that light and that energy that was in the room with you for the audience?
Well, she's amazing. She's just very hard to follow. Her life is going as fast as when she's running. So we really had to catch up on her. And so we first met in January 2023. The three of us, we just had a quiet moment around a cup of tea next to the Théâtre du Châtelet in Paris. And we had a talk. Um, Asking her, are you okay if we're around you a lot for 3 months? Are you okay if I'm filming you? And how much are you willing to accept that I'm going to film you? Your relationship also with intimacy. Can I film your skin, your body? and also what is the next few weeks looks like for you. What will you do? How can we follow you? And I think she don't really realize how much she's doing in a day and how fast her life is going. And she said, well, I have a few major running competition, and then also in 2 weeks I'm going to La Réunion Island. And so I looked at Shanice and I said, I think we should take a plane and go to La Réunion Island. And yeah, we followed her that way. She was really open, and when we land in La Réunion Island, we don't know anybody, and we are welcomed so warmly by the grandparents you see in the documentary, Marcel and Geoffrette. And as soon as we landed, they cooked an amazing lunch for us. And so quite instantly, we became a part of their family, and Anai's joy and smile became just contagious, and
Yeah.
that follows us all the way.
Yeah,
For 3
that
months.
was the first part of the journey as well, which is amazing because the Reunion Island is where she comes from. Her family is from there, so that is exactly her roots. And to share this first moment with her and her family around this amazing lunch,
Yeah.
that was just the beginning of something really, yeah, smooth and beautiful and
Yeah.
natural all together.
We really, I think, landed at the core of everything
Yeah.
that defines her, and her joy, her humanity. We could feel like it's really at the heart of her whole family and how she's been raised from the
Yeah.
beginning.
And at first, we were not supposed to go there at all. We had planned in our minds to follow her in Paris and in France, like in metropolitan France, but not in like overseas. And that was actually what is now the skeleton of the movie.
Yeah.
I love that experience of meeting her family and having them cook a meal and just like connecting with them over food. And was that the moment that you realized it would be really important to share that with the audience? That I love that whole sequence where her grandfather is showing, look, I can move the garlic around in the pan and I can touch it because I don't feel it, but you shouldn't do it. And he talks about how smiling helps you to have better blood pressure and all of that. And did that really come from just the community that you felt from that experience?
Yeah. I think we really understood a lot and way more by starting there and meeting them. It gave us a quite good sense of who Anaïs is, and it explains a lot about her, I think. And what we thought about Anaïs that we could guess, we had answers also over there. People in Paris were telling us, you'll see Anaïs is like fire and volcano, and we're like, oh, that means that she has a strong character. Yes, but not only. There is really something more, even like it's in a poetic way, about humanly speaking and inside of us in terms of aura and who she is and what she cares with her. I think, yeah, La Réunion and her roots plays a big part, and we definitely wanted to share that to the audience.
And you were mentioning before, being able to like film her in a very vulnerable way, and she allowed you to film her scars post-surgery from all the treatments and radiation that she went through after her cancer diagnosis. And I wanted to ask about just the experience of building that level of trust with her for her to open up that way, not just with you, but also on camera for audiences to share in that.
Yeah. That was, I think that was even harder for us than for her.
Yeah.
To ask. She said, when we asked, she said, I've been used so many times of undressing and being naked in front of so many doctors that now is something that I'm very comfortable with, especially with the two women. But we were also with Martin, and Martin is the man, and even the three of us, she was very open, and I think we built a trust, and from that, she really allowed us to get in. And she understood also maybe that it could be important, and she understood maybe the way I had and the desire I had to show her story and to show her skin. I really wanted that, but I also knew that I wanted to do it a subtle way. and maybe also by bringing black and white. And I think I question what is intimacy and what is showing without showing too much, and trying to show the right amount without falling into vulgarity. And but also everything related to Anaïs, I think, is not related to that at all, and so it was very easy.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think also what is interesting maybe to know is that as I said, I don't think she was really aware of what she's been through, because for her it's just a moment in her life, and that was it. And we asked her, "Oh, would that be possible to speak with one of your doctor, who you would like for us to have a chat with?" And at first she was like, "Yeah, I don't think that is really like interesting for you guys." So we were like, "Well, okay." But then obviously in Hélène's mind, it was also a matter of having the right words and to describe this very scientific phase of her life. And we had a chat about this with her father. And when her father was like, "Of course, like it would be amazing, let me give some calls." And then Anais realized that it would be interesting for everyone to actually have his words on her.
Yeah.
And this is where you see the doctor, and we feel it's a really important part of the documentary there. And that was actually very beautiful to see her actually remind herself, "Oh, okay, I've been through that as well." And
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, that was it." And yeah, that was beautiful moment.
I also thought the conversations with her doctor on camera were so interesting, because we always think about the clinical side and the medical side, but you can see how personal this was in the trust and the relationship that they had with each other, and the fact that it opened up his idea of how to treat a patient in a very different way than he ever had. And to have him admit, "I don't know if I treated her how I initially thought, if she would have even survived." And so did you find that the conversations with him really surprised you in that space that it created?
I mean, it was very touching to hear what he said, and he literally said like she was like a daughter to me. And he I think it was the case in his career that touched him the most, and
Yeah.
still to that day he, I think, thinks about her every day.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it was really touching to see that their connection, because also Anais and her dad said that without this team, the three of them, things would have been very different. And it's also about this connection between human beings, and the trust we put in each other, and being able to listen when someone tells you, "I know I'm going under very heavy treatments, but I need to stay in movement. I cannot stay still on my couch. I need to get up, even if it's to walk, and I would like to run. Can you trust me, and can we do that?" And at first he was of course a bit worried, and then because she didn't give him any choice, actually, he started to understand that maybe that was also her way to stay alive and to survive. And this connection and trust built, we could feel it in his conversation, in our conversation with him when we met, and it was almost 10 years later.
Yeah, no,
So,
exactly. And 10 years later, he still, like, the first time I called him, I was like, "Hey, hello, I'm Shanice, like a producer. We're doing this and that about Anaïs." And like, I didn't even say her last name, and he knew what I was talking about. So that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I also think the film as a whole just really captures such a sense of community. Firstly, that exists in the world that she runs in, but also just that the way that she's so magnetic and people really gravitate towards her. You know, we were talking about her family, but then there's also her running team. And I think we think of running as an individual sport, but we really see it through the lens of this incredible community. And why was that important to really showcase her team and the community around her when she's on these runs, even though it's a solo endeavor as well?
Yeah, she said it every time. I wouldn't be here without my father. I wouldn't be here without Lameute, and without Mathieu, and without all the people being a part of her pack,
Yeah.
of the pack, and her grandparents. And I think even in running, and especially in this team, La Meute in France, there is definitely this family bond, and we could even feel it when we came
Yeah.
and meet them and started to shoot with them. It was
That was so easy.
yeah, they're very easy. They really care about each other. They were very touched when Anaïs got sick. I think it really shocked everyone because also really the diagnosis was so bad. And I think they were very impressed by her, but the way around, I think Anais being sick and being able to stay with them made her feel like she was normal and that everything was going as usual, and they helped her maintaining her life as she always lived it. And so it was a mutual support that is really, really important for her.
There's also a lot of imagery in the film to do with volcanoes and lava. And we see her at one point where she's on her way to a race. It's the crack of dawn. And she talks about how she wants to post on social media with an image saying, "I'm on fire like a volcano." And I was curious if that was the moment that kind of led to the idea of using that imagery throughout, or if there were other moments that had created that idea before for both of you.
No, so the idea of putting nature at the heart of the movie was something I've already thought about, but the volcano was maybe an idea I didn't dare to dream of until Anaïs told us, "Oh, we're going to La Réunion," and we met this amazing drone operator, which is Julien. And because we wanted to shot frames with drone, and at the end of the shooting we went to his home, and he showed us frames that he recorded just a few months before when the volcano was on fire. And I looked at all the files and I thought, this makes so much sense, regarding also what the grandfather said about fire, regarding what we could learn bit by bit about Anais. I thought, what if this volcano could become like, the skeleton from the beginning to the end of this film, and to explain through that who she is and what she's been through in terms of internally, like a metaphor. And yes, we stick to that.
I mean, connected to that as well, there's so much about the connection to nature that I feel like we see, and there's some really, really beautiful shots, even right at the beginning when you have the camera kind of just up in the air looking down at her running, and we really sense that connection to nature that running brings her, or that amazing shot when she's just running on that open dirt path later on in the movie. And so how did you both set about creating those shots? Because they're obviously much more complex and much more complicated to execute, but they add so much to the film and the story.
Yeah, I think it was this desire to have to compare and to do parallels between the the small world and the bigger world, and um, what we can observe in our world, whether it's the infinity big or infinity small. I don't know if you said that if we say that in English, but I think what I want to express is that I really wanted to try to work on a very organic experience, and to put also Anais in her environment, as well as to being able, thanks to those frames, to have a sense of what, like, it's a sensory experience of what it is to be surrounded by organic elements, and being ourselves, a human being full of cells and moving into this world. It would be very easy for me to explain that in French, but I'm in English. And so it was just the desire to put her in her environment, and with Julien, it was super smooth to
Yeah.
to set up. and with Anaïs also, because it was just telling her, would you like to run? And so she's so happy as soon as she can run. And so she was like, yeah, let's go. We can do it again if you want. And so it was very smooth.
Yeah, that was really smooth. And also, like, technically, like the different cameras that we used served the DNA of Hélène. And I've I totally feel that the drone is really as well that can be the skeleton of the movie, but all the different cameras that we used make this documentary. And I think that it's thanks to those different cameras that we have that we can feel the organic part of it as well.
Yeah, I think it was a desire to play on
Yeah.
different levels of texture,
Yeah.
of perspectives, and yeah.
I also, have heard you both reference that you felt like this film really had a bigger story to tell as well. It's centered around her, but it's also this idea of the way that society imposes these limits, and I think especially on women, and
Yeah.
that you can really succeed beyond what people expect of you. And so was that something that when the two of you first met her and decided to tell this story, that you realized was really important straight away, that there was this bigger idea that you could create?
Yeah, I think this is something we really care about in
Yeah.
general in life.
Yeah.
That really is something we cherish. And when we met her, we really thought that she's carrying that with her.
Yeah.
And also we're always very used to, have an imagery of women which looks perfect, very smooth and without scars and anything. And I think this is a bit too bad, and that we should celebrate each other and celebrate women the way we are. And I think scars, for example, a, should be celebrated because it's just overcoming a lot of challenges, and this should be, this
Yeah.
should be something we celebrate.
Yeah.
And
As a producer, I had never seen before a breast like this with so many scars on it. I mean, in a short movie or in a movie. And I think when you had this idea that touched me particularly, and the bond we have, the three of us as well, this woman bond, I would say, is really dear to us and to the way we wanted to express your DNA and her story.
yeah.
And it's so interesting as well because the accomplishments that she makes are all physical accomplishments, but it's the mindset and the focus and the dedication that you have to have in order to be able to achieve these things that gets you there. And obviously, you're making this film and it's such a long journey and there's all these roadblocks along the way. And so from working with her and telling her story, how did exploring the mindset that she has as a runner really shape the way in turn that you were thinking about making this film for your journey along the way?
Mm.
Hmm.
Wow. I would say that next to being a director, I'm also a photographer, and I got also the chance to work with amazing athletes during their trainings, like Kevin Durant or Kobe Bryant. And being able to follow them on their journey, I think also shaped my mindset and this consistency we have to have when we want to achieve things, when we have goals. I think I really recognized that in Anaïs as well. And I think this is also what we have in
In
common,
common.
the three of us. And so she understood quite quickly that we were quite determined about what we wanted to tell, and how much we wanted to follow her and tell her story. And because she saw that in us as well, I think that's also why the trust happened that well. Um, because it is all about consistency, hard work, dedication, and trust, I think.
Passion.
Passion, love, and faith.
Yeah.
And this, again, human bond we created.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think also Jean-Yves, the father, who trusted us also. I think as soon as her father is open to work with people, then Anais as well
Yeah.
is open to be there
yeah,
and
yeah.
follow us.
And that is also a strong bond that we share, the both of us. We met because we were working quite a lot with Nike, and then as a photographer and myself as a producer. This is how we met
Mm.
5 years ago,
Yeah.
I think. And of course we were around athletes a lot, and that has shaped the mindset we have, both of us. And so obviously we want to do something else. We want to do work on other topics, but it's true that through sport you have dedication, and it teaches you a lot in your life. Whatever you want to do, it's a good school of life.
Definitely. Yes.
It's so wonderful to hear all of that. And I think you found such a compelling documentary subject for this film, but also told the story in a really, really beautiful way. So congratulations to both of you, and thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much. It
much.
was amazing to talk to you.
Thank you.